Meghan Markle's podcast has ended its 8-episode run and there are no plans to release a second season at this point. What a surprise. Reilly Sullivan is a lifestyle reporter here at skynews.com.au and he's always across the latest celebrity headlines. Reilly, great to see you.
Lovely to be back.
So Meghan Markle's podcast, the series Confessions of a Female Founder, has officially wrapped up after 8 weeks and hitting the airways. Is this the last we'll ever hear about the podcast, do you think?
I do. I think so. I think that, as we've spoken about, this show has completely underperformed. It did not really appear on the Spotify charts. This was, of course, the podcast that she made with Lemonada Media. It's still unclear, actually, about what money has come from this podcast. So originally, when she signed up with Spotify, there was money up front. That deal went south. She signed up with Lemonada. But looking into the details of it, it's unclear if she actually took any money up front for this deal at all, or if it was supposed to be a performance-based deal. I think on that alone, there's no way this will come back because it hasn't performed well, you know, in terms of advertising or any types of revenue you can glean from the podcast. It really has failed on that front. Also, there was a very interesting article that came out in a business publication called Fast Company. Never really heard of it, right? Well, weirdly, they got an exclusive interview with Meghan Markle, and the interview reads like a press release. It's basically sort of giving her claim, really celebrating all her achievements. And these are things that have been a complete failure. You know, American Riviera Orchard, all of these other sort of projects that have come and gone. And in that, she's already sort of subtly moving on. She said, you know, this was great, but you know, maybe there's talk of a second season. She's sort of retroactively making it seem like it was always going to be a one-off, and that wasn't true.
No.
It was supposed to be an ongoing podcast. It's gone after 8 episodes, but, you know, 7 hours of audio content. I hope Lemonada didn't pay her too much.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Prince Harry has flown all the way from his Montecito home to Shanghai to appear at a sustainable travel summit. Now, this is a sustainable travel summit, so fans are questioning why he didn't just dial in remotely.
Yeah.
What do you make of this move?
Exactly that. I mean, why was he there? You know, this is one, from a PR point of view, it looks ridiculous to be fronting a sustainable travel summit and jetting in from Montecito all the way to China. It's like a 6,000-mile journey across the Pacific. I mean, you know, very wasteful. And as far as we know, he appeared on stage for a few minutes and took a few photos. So it's not like he was on a tour or he was doing lots of engagements to make it worthwhile. For example, you know, when the royal family's traveling, I'm thinking of someone like Princess Anne. When she goes to Sri Lanka for 5 days, she is doing 10, 20 engagements in that time. She's not just flying over there for 5 minutes and flying back. You know, this was sort of ridiculous on that front. I also think that there's some other factors here. I think there's probably a mercenary aspect. Maybe there's a paid appearance fee. A lot of royals, Harry's isn't the only one, you know, a lot of royal family members that are non-working royals make a lot of money going abroad, making appearances, showing up at events. That's why we see Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie in the Middle East all the time.
Right.
It's not because they love the dates. It's because, you know, they're there for engagements and business engagements. And the other sort of aspect of it, which I think really speaks to Harry's personality, is he loves the adoration he gets in China. When he's traveling abroad, he gets the red carpet treatment. He's treated like a member of the royal family. He gets that first-class treatment and the deference that I think that he craves. So I think that's really what's going on here. But the whole thing was pretty ridiculous.
Absolutely. Now, King Charles has converted his home on his Sandringham estate into a luxury holiday rental, which is available to the public. Now, this sounds great, of course, but the big question is how much it would actually cost.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's actually quite a bargain. It's something like £6,000 to rent out. It's a beautiful property, sort of an arts and crafts style home on the Sandringham estate. This isn't surprising. You know, when we talk about Sandringham, of course, there's the main house where the royal family stays, but there's also all of these other smaller properties and cottages and workers, you know, where all the workers, because, you know, there's a huge staff living there. So I don't think they're exactly going to be renting out the throne room, but for $6,000, I think it sounds like a pretty good deal.
Yeah, better than I expected.
Yeah.
Now, the Norwegian Royal Palace has announced that Princess Ingrid Alexandra will move to Australia to study at the University of Sydney. Now, tell us about this. When will she actually be arriving?
Yes, so Princess Ingrid Alexandra, as you said, is moving to Sydney. She'll be at Sydney University starting in the second semester in August. I noticed there were some publications that have shared very specific details about where she's staying. Just editorially, Sky, we've opted not to. I think it's really important with something like this to protect her privacy, but she will be in the Harbour City from August onwards. I think the decision to have her study here, I think there's a few factors at play. Firstly, she has just completed military service. She's 21. I think it's a great time in her life to be abroad and enriching herself before she's, in full-time royal mode. I also think that there's frankly a lot of scandal at the moment in the Norwegian monarchy. They've had her half-sibling. It's quite convoluted, but basically Ingrid Alexandra has a half-sibling. Her mother had a previous relationship before she married into the monarchy, and there's a son from that relationship. He's about 28 years old. It's her half-brother, Ingrid's half-brother, and he is currently facing very serious charges of sexual assault. So he possibly could, be spending a lot of time in jail. This is a very, very serious case. And even though he's not a member of the royal family, this has been a huge scandal in Norway. Also, in terms of the Norwegian royal family, Ingrid's aunt, Martha Louise, I believe we talked about her on this show last year. She's very controversial. She's a clairvoyant. She is a real kind of free spirit. Nothing wrong with that. But again, there's maybe a bit of a publicity issue with that. So I think this is a really great move for her to be away from the chaos and away from the press in Norway, in Australia. And I hope she has a great time. I think it's a wonderful tradition of royals studying in Australia. We had the current King of Thailand spent several years studying in Australia. Of course, King Charles spent a semester at Geelong Grammar. So, it's just a wonderful tradition, and I think Aussies, we're always good. We give people their privacy. We let them have their space.
Absolutely, and it is exciting for us.
Yeah.
Now, Denmark's King Fredericks has presented a special royal honour to his nephews after they were stripped of their royal titles. So what's prompted Fredericks to do this?
Yes, this is a really clever decision. So essentially, there was a huge scandal in the Danish royal family a couple of years ago where Margrethe, Fredericks' mother, stripped some of her grandchildren of their royal titles. It was a very controversial move, but it was sort of kind of like what King Charles envisions, a slimmed down monarchy. She did it because the Danish royal family works because it's small, and she kind of felt that it was getting a bit too extended with all of these sort of cousins and nephews. So that decision went down like a lead balloon. Fredericks' brother's children were impacted by that decision. He was furious. He spoke against his mother in the Danish press. He said it was a form of, mistreatment of them. It was very, very controversial. And now 2 years later, I think Fredericks really righting the wrong. I think it's a really genius move. He's brought them into this order, which is the sort of civilian honour, very sort of royal style with civilian honour, but it's not restoring the title. So he's not contradicting Margrethe.
Okay.
He's not going back on her word and her actions, but he is extending the olive branch. I think it was a very classy move by Fredericks.
Sounds like it indeed. Reilly Sullivan, thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour.
Thank you.